Hello everyone and welcome to the hands-on demo on AWS batch. So in this demo, we will create an IAM role, we will create an ECR repository, we will create S3 bucket and upload some sample data, we will create and upload Docker container, we will configure AWS batch compute environment, then we will create a job queue, we will create a job definition and submit a job, then we'll check out the result of the job, and finally we'll clean up all the resources. So this is the demo overview. So we start with IAM role, then we'll create an ECR repository. We will create a Docker image, push that Docker image to the ECR repository, and then we will have an S3 bucket for wherein we will store some sample data. And here we'll create, this is all AWS batch configuration. We will have a compute environment, we'll have a job definition, we'll submit a job queue, and we will monitor the job batch job. So first step is to create an IAM role. So you will select AWS service and you will select Elastic Container Service and Elastic Container Service task. So I have logged into AWS console and search for IAM. Click on IAM. So first thing I have to select is Elastic Container Service. So I go to the IAM console and click on roles, create role. So keep the default option AWS service, and under here search for container service. Select Elastic Container Service, and under this select Elastic Container Service task. Click on next. Then we will give the permissions. So you have to give this particular permission, Amazon ECS task execution role policy. So copy the value and search for this permission. Select this. Next you have to give Amazon S3 access also. So I'll just give full access because it needs to read certain buckets from the S3. So select this also. Now two permissions are attached. Click on next. Provide a name. So I'll copy this name, paste it, and click on create role. So the role is created. Next step is to create an ECR repository. So for this, the repository name will be batch demo app. So search for ECR. I will open this in a new tab. Click on create a repository. Provide the name and keep all the default settings. Click on create. You can always check out the push command. So let's say if I click on this particular repository, there are no images at this moment, but this is just for your reference. You can copy paste the whole command and you can push any Docker image from your computer to this repository. Next step, I will create a S3 bucket and upload some sample data. So for this, I will launch a Cloud Shell. So I'll click on Cloud Shell. I will open Cloud Shell in a new tab by clicking on this particular icon. And I come back here and close this tab, and now Cloud Shell is open in a new window so that we can see it better. And you will observe that I am in default the region which is matching over here, US East 1. So first step is to create some S3 bucket, create an S3 bucket and folder structure. So basically it will this particular variable will hold the timestamp. Then I'm just creating a bucket with batch demo and followed by the timestamp. I'm using the AWS S3 API, and finally I am creating two folders inside that bucket, input and output. So I copy the whole command and run the command. So the bucket is created. Next I have some sample data which I will create through the command line itself, and this is basically have month, then it has got revenue, cost, how many units got sold, and customer count followed by average order value. So I paste it and it has created the file also. Next I will upload the data to S3 bucket which we have just created. So I'll copy this command and so this has uploaded that file and the bucket name is in this particular txt file. So I can just do, so here is the bucket name for the reference, and this it has saved this data.csv to this particular location input bucket. So it is the bucket name S3 bucket, this folder input and data.csv. Next we will create and upload the Docker container. So this is the sample application code. So I'll open this in VS Visual Studio Code, but what you can do when you are doing the demo, you can copy the whole code and paste it to a sample file. So here is the data file application file. So what this file is basically is doing, there is a one method called process file. So we are importing some necessary libraries, and inside main we are calling the process file. So coming to process file, it is taking input bucket, input key which is the file name, output bucket and the output file name where we want to save the calculations. Then we are just creating some local files. First step, important one, is S3 download file. So from the S3 bucket, the file name, it will download the file. Then once the file is read, it will do the processing. It will have the pandas data frame, and based on that it will just select which are the float, decimal and integer values, and it will just calculate. It will show the column name followed by mean, median and standard deviation, and it will write to the output bucket in the results.csv file. So this is the whole thing which it's doing. So I copy the whole file and copy it, then come to the Cloud Shell and run this. So now if I just do ls, you will see all the files are getting created. We have bucket name data.csv and process data.py Python file. Next, this is the Docker file. So what it is doing, it is starting the base image from this particular Docker image, Python 3.9 slim. Then it is creating a work directory inside that Docker image. It is copying the requirements.txt file. It is running this pip install, and then it is copying the process data.python file to the work directory. So all these files are going inside this /app. Then it is just making it executable, and as soon as you run the Docker image, it will run this particular command. So I can copy this whole thing and in the Cloud Shell run that, and it has created this particular file. Next is the requirements.txt file. So I'll copy and create this file. So at this moment I have all these files which we have created: bucket name, data.csv, Docker file, and the Python process data file, and the requirements.txt file. Next I will build the Docker image and push it. So first I am setting this environment variable, account ID, the region which I am working in, US East 1, the ECR repo. So it is taking the account ID followed by the region, and then it is getting the ECR get login, and these commands are here also, as I showed you, view push commands. So these commands are same, and then I am doing a Docker build, and the Docker image is called batch demo app, and in the same dot folder in the same current directory, and then I am tagging this particular image with the ECR repo and doing a Docker push. So I copy this snippet and run this in Cloud Shell. So this was the last command, Docker push, and it has successfully pushed the Docker image to the ECR repo. So if I go here and click this refresh button, I can see the image which I have just pushed. Next I will configure the AWS batch compute environment. So I will go to the batch service. So search for batch. I'll open also this in a new tab so that I can keep track of all the services which I have worked with and created objects inside. So this is the blank console, and first step is to create a compute environment. Click on create, choose the default Fargate and provide the name. So I'll call it batch demo compute. Paste the value and service role, AWS service role for batch. So the default role, and then maximum vCPUs. So I go to the next step. So select the minimum amount, which is 1, and this is not required. Then in next you have to select the virtual VPCs. So I'll just choose the default VPC and choose that all the subnets and the security group, default security group. Click on next, and finally just review and create the compute environment. So once you have created the compute environment, next step is to create a job queue. So I copy the job queue name, come here and click on job queues, click on create, paste the job queue name, priority default 1, and all the default option here only connected compute environments. So that's why we have to create the compute first, because this is dependent on the compute environment. Rest all is fine, and click on create job queue. So this will create the job queue and it is creating. Next step is to create a job definition. So for this you have to so this one is saying where is our image. So because we are using Fargate, which is like the serverless container service, and this serverless container service will need some image to run. So we are providing the image which we have just created. So I come here and click on job definitions, click on create, default Fargate orchestration type, and provide a name. So I think the name is batch demo. So I'll just provide a name, something like batch demo job definition. Okay, and click default option Fargate platform version latest and Linux platform. Assign public IP default option and click on so here execution role, make sure you select the ECS task execution role, because this has the permission to work with ECS as well as to fetch the bucket, S3 bucket and the data file. Then click on next. And provide the other necessary values. So herein we are providing the image. So the image which we have just created and what command that will be run. So that information comes from here, this particular. So they have just they have recently upgraded the console. That's why these commands are a bit like something comes before, something comes after, and this is the command. So what this is saying, when you run this particular container image, it will be required these values like input bucket, input key, which is the input file name, output bucket, and the output file name where the data or the information will be processed and stored, and rest all is fine. Click on so I'll just choose the minimum. So here in virtual CPUs, the minimum value, and memory also I can give the least amount. And job role, make sure you choose the ECS task execution role, and you can add any environment variable also. So we are not using, but this is how we can pass in some kind of environment variable. And click on next, then default user, log default configuration, and just review, and if you are okay, then click on create job definition. So we have seen all these settings. Now final step is to submit the job. So for this, go to the, click on the hamburger icon and click on jobs, submit new job, and provide the name of the job. And then herein you need to refer the job definition and the job queue. So this is dependent on these two objects. Rest all is fine. Click on next. Then scheduling priority. So default options are fine. Now herein we provide the actual value. So we have not hard coded anything inside. When we are submitting, we are not hard coding anything. What we are saying is we will provide these values during the runtime. So herein you provide these values, and okay, so I think some comma is missing. So herein, and these 4 values. So herein just I have to replace the bucket name. So if I go to the Cloud Shell and refer the bucket, so this is the bucket name, batched demo. So I copy this value and replace the bucket name. And same vCPUs, and this has come from the job definition, and this also has come from job definition. Click on next, and everything is fine. Click on create job. So at this point it will trigger this job. It will submit to the ECS Fargate service. So this is why we are using jobs, because it's like a one-time submission of jobs. It does not run like forever, like a web server runs all the time, and some other EC2 services or Kubernetes. You have applications which runs all the time. So jobs are required when you have one-time activity. Like it can run for a few minutes, it can run for a few hours or a day, but then it will finish its processing and then it will save the data. And the normal pattern is to take the input, process the input, and finally store the result. And input output, most of the time it will be S3 bucket. So it has submitted the job, and if you just click on refresh, you will see this particular has a so now it's running, and it will open a CloudWatch log stream. So if you click this, it will open a new tab, and you can monitor the logs as well. So let it open up. So it will show you what time it got created, AR, and all this information, and you can check out the job configuration, what container was used to run this, and the logging information, any tags, and the JSON, what was the JSON information of this particular job. So it's still running. Let me just refresh it. So it has succeeded successfully, and you can come here, and if you click here, so it will open all, and you will be able to see, okay, so there are no error. So successfully uploaded results to S3 and the bucket, and this part is the input data.csv and output, which is the results.csv file, and anything in between. So you can check out the logs from here. Finally, we will check out the what was the outcome. So I go to the S3 bucket. So S3 bucket is not open, so I'll just open that. So open link in a new tab. So in the meantime, I'll just show you in the here how it looks like. So after submitting, we can check out the results.csv. So it will be stored in the bucket output folder. So if I come here, this is the bucket which we have created through the command line, input output folders. Input has the data.csv file which we have uploaded through the command line, and the output file. So if I just click this and open it, it will let me save that, and it has saved to, so I'll just showcase how it looks like. Okay, so this is how it looks. So we have the column revenue, and for revenue, what is the mean, median, and standard deviation, and same for the other column, cost, units sold, customer count, and the average order value, all the information. and this we have seen. Finally, we will clean up all the resources. So first is to disable or delete the compute environment. So we'll start from the batch service. So this is the batch. So come here, and so what we can do, we can start deleting actually from the last object that we have created. So we can go to the job definition and click actions, and you have to deregister the job definition. So once you deregister, there will be nothing here. So when you delete, you just have to go in the from top to bottom. When we created, we started creating from bottom to top. So job definition, there is nothing at the moment, inactive. So if I just select this and actions, okay, so this is inactive at the moment, and I come to job queue, select this. First you have to disable this. So it got successfully completed, the request, and if I just refresh, it is disabled, and click on delete. So delete the job queue. So the request is submitted. Let me refresh. Okay, so it is getting deleted. Let me try compute environment. So same, I have to disable this. So it is disabling the compute environment, and I select this again and try to delete this compute environment. Okay, because it's still trying to this is deleting the status, and I'll try it after once this is finished. So let me just refresh, and okay, so I will come back to it. Meanwhile, I can delete all other objects. So now next is to empty the S3 bucket. So I go to the S3 bucket and go to the buckets. So this is the batch demo bucket, and first we have to empty it so that we can delete it. So copy the permanently delete and click on empty, then click on exit, and now select the bucket and click on delete. Copy paste the bucket name and click on delete bucket. So bucket is deleted. Next is to delete the IAM role. So go to the IAM tab, and this ECS task execution role, click on view role and click on delete. So this role is now getting deleted. Next is to delete the repository and the images. So I go to the ECR, and there is only one image, and type in delete. So once this is deleted, I can go to the repositories and delete the repository. So the repository also got deleted. Next I'll go back to the job definition and see I can delete this particular job queue. So job queue is deleted, and the compute environment, now it should delete this particular compute environment. So it is successfully submitted. Now there is no compute environment, there is no job queue, job definition is also not there because we have deleted the job definitions. So all the jobs also successfully deleted. And that's all. Thanks for watching.